Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host Omar Khalid. Today is the 24th of October 2023 and these are the stories that we'll try to highlight and decipher during the course of our show. We'll begin, ladies and gentlemen, with the updates as far as the Israeli incursion on Gaza are concerned, the barbarities, the brutalities that are continuing on the hapless people in this enclosed enclave where access to food, water and electricity is still a huge issue. There have been some trickling of aid inside of the Gaza, but most of the aid is still outside of the territory, with the Israelis continuing to bomb different hospitals, schools and other public areas in Gaza. The number of deaths have bypassed 5,700. Number of injured are in the thousands as well. The number is increasing with every passing day. The role and the responsibility of the important nations and important organizations becomes paramount. When will that action be taken? That only time will tell. This is going to be our first segment. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns the Shanghai Cooperation Organizations, whose Council of Heads of Government will be held tomorrow. In fact, the day after tomorrow, that is on the 26th of October. Pakistan has now assumed the chair of this Council of Heads of Government. Our Foreign Minister, Mr. Gilani, will be leading Pakistan's delegation to the SCO. This, of course, we all know that the Council of Heads of Government is the highest forum as far as the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is concerned. This is also going to be Iran's first official participation in this important organization. A lot of important things to discuss and to a lot of important resolutions to talk about and come on the same wavelength on. This is going to be our second segment. Our third story concerns the World Polio Day, which is being observed across the world today. Our caretaker Prime Minister Anwar Kakar addressed an auspicious ceremony today in connection with the World Polio Day, and he highlighted not only the role of the polio workers but also said that amongst the entire world there are only two countries that still have cases of polio, and that are Pakistan and Afghanistan. He wished that the children in 2024 will come out of this ambiguity that is polio, and that the children who deserve a healthy childhood will in fact get it through the different polio campaigns that have started across the country. This is going to be our third story. Then we are going to talk about today is the 76th anniversary of the founding day of Azad Jammu and Kashmir. Ladies and gentlemen, the 76th anniversary has been celebrated across Pakistan today to commemorate the establishment of Azad Jammu and Kashmir on this very day in 1947 as a state. Then we are going to talk about Pakistan that has today launched and successfully conducted the training launch of Gauri weapon system that is aimed at testing the operational and technical readiness of the Army Strategic Forces Command. Of course, another feather in Pakistan's defense and our armed forces caps. This brings an end to what we are going to discuss today. Let's begin with our first story, and that concerns Israel, Palestine, the atrocities that are going on as far as this small enclave housing around 2.2 to 2.4 million people are concerned, and how the world, whose responsibility becomes paramount under the current circumstances, is apparently either not doing enough or is siding with the wrong party. A lot of important countries are also highlighting what is happening in Gaza, including all the important Islamic countries, including Pakistan as well, that has also sent aid to Gaza. But what needs to be seen is whether that aid eventually reaches the hapless people who are besieged in that area. To discuss that and more, we've been joined in the studio by Brigadier Retired Masud Ahmad Khan Sahib. He's a defense analyst. Sir, thank you very much to have joined us. First of all, sir, when you look at the casualties and the numbers that are increasing with every passing day and every passing hour, in fact, if I'm not wrong, 5,087 Palestinians killed, 1,400 people killed in Israel since the 7th of October alone. The fact remains that this number is increasing, and no important country really points a finger at the oppressed forces that are responsible for it. Why is that so? I can understand a little bit of it, but I'd like you to highlight the different aspects of the reasoning behind the the non-action by the important organizations and the important countries when it concerns to these barbarities.
Thank you very much. You really highlighted the issue, and basically this is I call it the double standard of the West. especially the United States and the other Western countries. Look, when things are happening in Ukraine, they said the Ukrainians, they are fighting a war against Russian occupation. When they talk of Israeli, then there is no mention of occupation forces, because the Palestinians, they are fighting against Israeli occupation for an independent country, Palestine, and they are doing this struggle for the last so many years. That is one thing. And secondly, we have seen the international head of states like President Biden, followed by United Kingdom Prime Minister. Then we saw today the President of France visiting Tel Aviv and assuring their support and strength and basically patting them. Go ahead with your plan. And nobody talk of cessation of hostilities, going for a ceasefire, opening a humanitarian corridor.
Remember the ceasefire, there was a resolution that was passed in the United Nations, it was vetoed.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why basically they are facilitating Israel to go ahead with the massacre and the genocide of those 2.3 million people in Gaza Strip. So that is what is happening. That is very unfortunate. At the same time, I have seen, but there is no shifting of narratives. We have seen across the Western countries and the capitals of the cities, whether it is London, Chicago, New York, hundreds and thousands, they have come onto the streets and supporting the Palestinians. So
even in those countries where it was not allowed to protest or demonstrate.
Exactly. So there is a shift of narratives. Now the public opinion is supporting the Palestinians. So the Western government, now they are under pressure. That's why today we saw the news. The Americans, they are tabling a resolution in United Nations Security Council, and they have proposed a humanitarian pause. This is one thing. And second aspect is nobody should be forced to leave the northern Gaza to the south. There should be now force, exodus, we can say it. So that is which is going to be probably tomorrow or day after tomorrow. It will be discussed in the United Nations Security Council, and hopefully they are going to, I think, if Russians, they will not veto it. So certainly they will go for something for betterment of the people in Gaza. So that's why probably this may be one step in the right direction. The Muslim countries, I have seen with the passage of time, they have taken the right stand, like starting from the Saudi Arabia, which the unilaterally they end the cooperation, the normalization of relation with Israel. And then we have seen the Qatar, OIC, and other countries, like Egyptians also. Egyptians, they recently held a summit of some of the important leader countries from Europe and etc., even from Africa.
The Cairo summit.
Yes. The Cairo summit, they basically supported a ceasefire and a humanitarian corridor.
Because the corridors are going through Egypt into Palestine, and until and unless there is some kind of a situation where the aid can come through the different borders in between Egypt and Palestine, how can people get some kind of relief?
That is the issue. And recently they two convoys, one comprising 17 trucks and the other was of 20 trucks. They required thousands of trucks going inside because there is no food, no electricity, there is no water. So even hospitals, they are without fuel, and we have seen recently the biggest hospital, Indonesia run hospital, Al Shifa, they are facing the electricity crisis.
There is no medicine for anesthesia.
Exactly.
For the operation.
So the situation is very grim, and with every passing day, and there is no let up of airstrikes across Gaza.
In all of this, where you talked about the reaction by the American side, by the British side, and then by the French side. We have certain statements that have come from the senior US Senator Bernie Sanders also, who called the situation in Gaza a disaster. And he said the Israeli military strategy may backfire if it continues to ignore human causes. Was said by another former president, Barack Obama. There are certain voices of sanity, let's put it that way, but they are a minority compared to the larger voice that has a very strong impact because of the strong relationship that it has with Israel. Can that ever change?
I don't think so, but the public can force to change basically their governments to take a stand. to support the Palestinians. And we have seen the way we have seen the change in the foreign policy or the attitude of the United States government. And at the same time, the President Biden has also said that if going for a ground invasion of Gaza will be a biggest mistake.
But this is what Israel wants. This is also why it has asked for American troops.
But I don't think so. They will go for the ground invasion subsequently, but not in, basically at present they are giving a posture, a threatening sort of a thing to the Hamas to get back those prisoners of war. Subsequently they will go, as they said, to 1.1 million people living in Gaza city in the north to vacate and go to the south. There is exodus. Vacating 1.1 million going to the south, and they are at the same time bombing Khan Yunus where they are supposed to go. So, and basic aim is basically the Gaza city in the north is the basically military and the political headquarters of Hamas. The ultimate aim is finish off Hamas militarily as well as the politically. That's why. But going for a ground invasion, as far as I am concerned, the invasion will, if they at all they go, it will be simultaneous, not from only north, it will be from south, as they did a couple of days back from Khan Yunus side. They tried to enter. So these are things, but it will be a disaster because the initiative is with the defenders. So it will be a disaster for the Israelis. Look, the United States Army took 6 weeks to clear Fallujah, 9 months to clear Mosul. So imagine the Israelis going inside 2.3 million third densely populated area to Hamas. They were basically appreciated all the situation and the repercussions of their attacks. So they are ready to fight a long insurgency in that area. So at the same time, a ground invasion, it will draw Hezbollah and other Islamic Jihad and the Al-Badr from Iraq, Houthis recently they filed missiles from Yemen. So the proxies, you call them, they will basically play a main role. And look, Hezbollah, they haven't shown their capabilities 5%. They are in position of, as media says, 150,000 of rockets. They are highly capable and they are again battle hardened. So the Israel is going to face a two-front war. So it will be very difficult.
Does Israel know or understand the consequences?
They understand the consequences. That's why another conclusion is the myth which we perceived Israel as Israel Defense Forces invincible, formidable, that has been raised to the ground. Their Iron Dome, their Iron Wall, their Mossad, everything was basically it is ground zero. But at the same time, they cannot fight a war alone. Now, this is the conclusion. So they are looking always for the Americans to come and bail out. That's why 2 aircraft carriers they are in the region. At the same time, the Americans they are also moving their defense, probably air defense system to the region. So the Americans they are going to react. They are going to support in case Hezbollah attacks, and ultimately they are trying to draw Iran into the conflict. As probably today it was the American media, now they are accusing Iran for the basically helping and supporting, arming the proxies in the Middle East.
Are they using this current situation as a pretext to pinpoint fingers on Iran?
Exactly. Initially, if you recall, Antony Blinken said there is no evidence of Iranian involvement. And today, no, they are saying the Iranians, they are behind all the attacks. So they are trying, but at the same time, Iranians, they will never basically physically come into this war. But subsequently, those present, the proxies present, Hezbollah and Houthis and others, they will play the game. And certainly Hamas, Islamic Jihad, even people from West Bank, Islamic Jihad presence is also there. So there will be activities simultaneously from West Bank, from Gaza, south of Lebanon, Hezbollah, then from Golan Heights, there is a Al-Badr organization, probably they are also operating. So it will be a simultaneous attacks from all directions. against Israel. So therefore, the consequences will be dire for the Israelis. That will not that easy. They will not get a free run.
Another important consequence is that of human life. We see the number of children, the number of women, the number of pregnant women that are currently present in Gaza that do not have access to proper aid, that do not have access to even proper clean drinking water or even the proper nourishment or the medicine. Does the world not realize this is a human catastrophe that has been created by Israel because of the pressure tactics that it is using on Palestine? And doesn't it remind Israel of what it went through after the World War? Isn't it doing exactly what it has been crying hoarse since decades?
Yeah, exactly as you said initially also, because the international community, the powers, they are least push about the humanitarian crisis. They are using the phosphorus bombs across the Gaza Strip. So nobody is talking of phosphorus bomb, human rights violation, war crimes. When something is happening in Ukraine, everybody is after Russia. But here nobody is raising their finger at Israelis. Rather, they are coming to
their aid.
So that is how the situation is. And as far as human rights is concerned, probably it is the last priority as far as them. Everybody probably they want the Israelis, they have the opportunity to teach a lesson to the Hamas. But at the same
who's bearing the brunt of it all in this whole exercise?
It is innocent people. Basically, you see over 2,000 children they have been killed in this war. And you said the women's elderly men, women, they have been killed. That is very unfortunate. And even this, beside living aside the residential colonies, they are targeting the hospitals, universities, and then the churches, schools, and mosques. That is the basic agenda, is to create fear. And subsequently, as I said, they are trying to basically the ultimatum which was given to them to vacate northern Gaza, they may occupy northern portion of that. At the same time, there is a reservation or this the statement which was made by General Sisi. Subsequently, according to their assessment, the Israelis, they are planning to force these 2.3 million into Sinai subsequently, and then to occupy Gaza. And it will create an issue for the Egyptians, because according to them, if they come even 1.1 million, a million, if you go to Sinai, then what happens? It will become a base of operation against Israel from Sinai, and then Israelis will take that opportunity to bomb Sinai.
Exactly. So the massacre will continue unabated, and everybody will side with the Israelis despite the thousands of deaths that have occurred. Nobody is, in the media and the international media, who is talking about these thousands of deaths.
Exactly. Even if they eliminate Hamas, if they kill thousands, still they will be replaced by another lot of youngsters. Because the resolve is there, this movement is not going to die. The issue will remain, it will not end unless they get the freedom or the independent Palestinian state based on before 1967 borders.
Macron, you talked about the French president who was here. He announced a 4-point plan. He announces he wants to prevent an escalation, free remaining captives in Gaza, wants a guarantee of security for Israel, and also wants to work towards a two-state solution. What is achievable? Is it just, again, just words for the sake of saying things?
Basically, they are not serious. Basically, they are showing their solidarity with the Israelis. They are not push. At least when Biden was in the Middle East, the one good gesture I saw was the snap, the refusal which was given by the President Mahmoud Abbas, the King of Jordan, and the General Sisi, refusing to meet Biden. Probably for the first time we have seen the Arab countries taking a stand. At the same time, Qatar has taken a stand, the Saudis, they have taken a stand. So basically it is the neighbors, the Middle Eastern countries which matters, like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Egypt and Turkey, they can play an important role in diffusing the situation, because they have the leverage and influence over Israel. So they can do it. Certainly that subsequently in consultation with the United States.
All right. But you know, you talk of consultation with the United States, but the United States is also openly siding with Israel and has always openly sided with Israel. The number of vetoes or on resolutions that talked about the two-state solution or about peace in Palestine have been vetoed because of the US vote. What now? How important does the role of the OIC become? How important does the role of the Arab nations become? How important does the role of Muslim nations become in this whole scenario? And do you feel they can play a role?
As I said, OIC recently met, and all the foreign ministers, they were there, and they made a statement, and joint statement, and as expected, they made a statement. But as I said, the important countries are Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, they can play an important role.
China, can it?
Certainly China can play. China basically, it was the China which mediated between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Of course.
So they have the influence, they have the leverage. So the Muslim countries have a point. Now they can threaten the international community. We are those 8 countries who have recognized the Israel as an independent state. They can say diplomatically we are going to break our diplomatic relation with Israel. This could be one option. And secondly, you raise the oil prices. You go for the raising the oil prices. And thirdly, show your tilt towards China. The Chinese, so because China influence we have seen in the not only across the globe now, but Chinese basically, and the Russian too.
True.
They have the important role to play. But at the same time, look, the stakes are very high as far as the President Biden is concerned. At the same time, for Netanyahu, in the United States, it is election year. Next year, November, there is an election. So there is a strong Jewish lobby. And to get the vote, the president has to show his solidarity with the Israel.
But the whole question is, till what time will they continue to show solidarity? Till such time that Palestine is completely extinguished or exterminated, as per they say.
Exactly. That's why basically that is the personal interest or the interest of the national interest of the countries. That's why they are doing this all politics.
All right. This is all politics, but you know, the cost at the cost of human life. This is what is happening, of thousands of human lives. Thank you very much, Brigadier Masud Ahmad Khan, Sub-Defense Analyst, to have joined us and to have come in the studios to discuss this very important matter that we are highlighting with every passing day with the updates. Pakistan sides with the people of Palestine, but we can only do as much. We need the support, and the Palestinians need the support of all the Muslim countries to side by them. Thank you very much, sir, to have joined us. Let's come to our second story, and that concerns the 22nd meeting of the Council of Heads of Government of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization that is going to begin from the 26th of this month. And from the Pakistani side, the Foreign Minister, Mr. Jalil Abbas Jilani Saab, will be participating in this very important meeting of the Council of Heads of Government. And this is not only an important mood because under the current circumstances, what has been happening across the world and of course in the region as well, the role of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization becomes paramount. The participation of Pakistan has always been extremely important. Since Pakistan became a member of the SCO, it has always been extremely proactive as far as the SCO is concerned. Also, this is the first time that Iran will be participating in it. We've been joined by Ambassador Naela Chohan, Special Secretary Foreign Affairs, who is online with us. Thank you, ma'am, to have joined us. Ma'am, how important is A, Pakistan's role in the SCO, B, Pakistan assuming the chair of the Council of Heads of Government at the SCO?
It is a very important role, and SCO has gained importance, growing importance over the years since its establishment, from a group of 5 to now a SCO with 8 members and 3 members waiting, applicants waiting for membership, and of course dialogue partners, observers. So it has grown in its importance. And to have Pakistan chair the Council of Head of Government is absolutely important, not only for Pakistan but also for SCO. They have several agenda items to consider. It is economic, it's finance, it's counter-terrorism, it's security, it's counter-extremism, separatism, and all these items are important for all the members of this very important organization.
How have the focus areas, Ambassador Naela Chohan, of the Council of Heads of State changed under the SCO over the years, and why are these areas, in your point of view, important for the member countries of the SCO, especially for a country like Pakistan that has been striving for peace, for stability in the region? Ambassador, are you with us?
Yeah. Could you repeat your question?
Yes, I was saying, how important are the key focus areas of this Council of Heads of State under the forum of the SCO, and how have those key focus areas changed over the years, and under the chairmanship of Pakistan, how do you feel this could further strengthen in the months to come?
Well, firstly, when SCO was established, these items were considered by the founding members as important, because at that time the Central Asian republics were newly independent and there were serious issues of separatism, of security, of terrorism. So that was an important thing. Then they were talking about economic development. Now, as the organization grew and established itself, it became, it developed MOU with United Nations, with SCAP, which is, Organization for Asia Pacific, with ASEAN, and so many other international and regional organizations to further reinforce the issues that were of significance to these member countries. And in that, Pakistan's participation was very important. As you know, we have issues in our Balochistan, we have issues, economic issues. So our participation is very important for Pakistan itself. Now, taking the chair, the difference is that, as you know, the earlier chair, India, is also a member of Quad, which is, a group of 4 countries, including USA, Australia, Japan, and India. And they are basically working on anti-China agenda, and obviously friends of China like Pakistan. Now with that, India is trying to have its legs in 2 boats, as you would say, that at one point it is member of Quad and then it wanted to be member of SCO. And as you recall, that the last summit was virtual, which was held in India, because most of these heads of government did not want to go to India.
That is true. Ambassador Naela Chohan, now, what is the possibility of the Indian and the Pakistani foreign ministers meeting, under the garb of this important moot? And do you feel there could be some kind of discussion or talks, or do you feel that India, as it has been, manipulating different forums, will continue to manipulate or try to manipulate the SCO as well?
I don't think India can manipulate SCO, because SCO is very clear on its agenda. And the member countries of SCO also know about India, so that manipulation cannot take place. But as far as meeting between the 2 foreign ministers is concerned, no such indication has been made by either side. So while they may be participating in the meeting itself, I don't think any bilateral meeting with Indian foreign minister is expected.
Ambassador Naela Chohan, Pakistan has always strived for a stable, peaceful Asia-Pacific region. How important is this moot under this context, and also collaboration with other moots such as ASEAN and ASEAN countries?
It is a very important platform for this, because as I said, they have established linkages with ASEAN, and ASEAN member countries are also interested. We need peace in Asia Pacific for development of the region. You might recall when the earlier summit was held in Kazakhstan, the president of Kazakhstan said 1/3 of humanity is present in this platform. Now, 1/3 of humanity means a very large human, civilization interested in peace and stability. So this platform has really gained a lot of importance as compared to other groupings that you see evolving. And in it, they very clearly said it's a multipolar world. So they are not talking about any leadership or any bloc politics, as Foreign Minister Gilani said before his departure, that Pakistan is not looking for any bloc politics, unlike India, which is now joining different blocs and playing different politics.
All right, Ambassador Naela Chohan, also I'd like to understand, this is the first time that there is a participation by Iran in this. The Iranian First Vice President Mohammad Mukhbar is participating in this meeting. What makes his presence important, and how can, in your point of view, Iran contribute?
In Iran, as you know, that energy is a very important area, and since Russo-Ukraine war, there has been great, impediment in flow of energy. And then Iran has relationships with Russia. It has relationships with China. China is trying to extend the One Belt, One Road project, linking all these important countries with reserves and natural resources. So Iran was wanting to be member for now around 2 years. So this, as yet it has been observer, but hopefully it will become member very soon. So the membership might grow from 8 to 9, and there are other 2 countries which are still also in waiting. So as SCO grows, its horizon broadens further.
All right, in the broadening of horizons and of course the talk of multilateralism, I'd also like to understand how the SCO can provide Pakistan and other countries with the opportunities to address issues such as extremism, terrorism, and of course extend its trade relations among other countries, those that are under the ambit of the SCO.
Well, they are discussing all these items. They have also linked up with ECO, which is Economic Cooperation Organization in the region, which has all these member countries as members as well. So when it's Pakistan, your internal security, your contribution to regional security, your efforts to, as you can see on your screen also, that, they left for illegal foreigners to leave, because that has also been a very difficult challenge for Pakistan. So all these developments will further enhance peace and security within and without, with Pakistan as head of the Council of Heads of Government.
How do you feel the SCO has contributed to Pakistan's strengthening of relations with China and other Central Asian countries?
Well, Pakistan's relations with China at bilateral were always there. But as a regional grouping, they are now working together for common agendas, common goals, and focusing their energies on these issues which are of prime importance to all the member countries.
All right, so let's see how important this is going to be. Of course, the day after tomorrow is the day it begins, and what will be the different agenda points we will of course be highlighting whenever it happens, and what are the resolutions that will be discussed upon and decided between the member countries is also something that we'll be looking forward to. Thank you very much, Ambassador Naela Chohan Sahiba, to have joined us, as Special Secretary Foreign Affairs Naela Chohan joining us and discussing with us the 22nd meeting of the Council of Heads of Government of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization that is going to begin from the day after tomorrow. Let's begin with our third story, and that concerns the World Polio Day. Polio has been extremely important for a country like Pakistan and also for Afghanistan, because we are the only two countries in the world where the number of polio cases are still prevalent. It's not, they are not in a lot, but they are there, especially the children that are being affected by polio. And polio, as we need to tell you again and again, is a crippling disease. And that is why there are different campaigns that happen across Pakistan to vaccinate and inoculate the children under the age of 5 years. To talk more about this, we've been joined by Ayesha Raza Farooq. She's a chairperson of the National Commission of the Rights of Children, and has also been a former focal person on polio for the Prime Minister. Thank you very much, Ayesha, to have joined us. Ayesha, how does the World Polio Day, in your point of view, contribute to the global efforts to eradicate polio from countries such as Pakistan and Afghanistan?
Thank you. The World Polio Day is celebrated globally to recognize and appreciate the huge progress and the gains that have been made in global polio eradication initiatives. There was a time back in 1988 when there were 350,000 polio cases being reported from 125 countries. So the world has certainly made a lot of progress, and this is a day to recognize that, also to create awareness for people to work, countries to work harder to eradicate the small bits and pieces in which polio still resides in our part of the world, and to also, I think, appreciate and recognize the brave and valiant polio workers that do a tremendous heroic job by trekking the length and breadth of our country in Pakistan, and overcoming all kinds of challenges and odds to ensure that every child below 5 years of age is inoculated. So yes, it is a very, very important day as far as polio eradication is concerned.
Ayesha, why is it that after so many years, Pakistan and Afghanistan still continue to have cases of polio, whether it be through wild polio myelitis or other forms of polio? Why are children still, getting this crippling disease? Is there some kind of measure that hasn't been properly taken? What are the lacunas in your point of view? Because you've been the focal person as far as polio campaign is concerned for around 5 years. What were the issues that you saw during your time?
In Pakistan, polio eradication is not just a health issue. Unfortunately, it's been a security issue, a political issue also. And Pakistan had reported one of its highest number of polio cases back in 2014, which was 306. And that is when I was heading the polio program and reporting directly to the Prime Minister. And the entire country worked very hard to bring that case burden of 306 down to just 7 or 8 a couple of years later. And we were, we were well set to interrupt transmission. And that's what all global partners were saying about Pakistan, looking at our genetic epidemiology of the disease, the surveillance that we used to do at the time. But it's unfortunate. I think lots of factors hindered us in interrupting transmission and being declared polio free. There was a political change in government. I think the kind of momentum that had been built was completely lost. Then, COVID hit and of course took center stage as far as health initiatives in the country were concerned. But it's very unfortunate. It's very worrying that when we are celebrating World Polio Day today, we see Pakistan having reported 4 cases of WPV1. But more than that, we've reported positive environmental samples from 54 sites across Pakistan. So, there are positive environmental samples that have surfaced from Karachi, from Lahore, Quetta, from Bannu, Pishin. So it's all over the country, really. Whereas in the recent past, polio virus had been contained to 1 or 2 districts of the country only. So it is very, very concerning. And I said, if you ask me, although I'm not very closely involved with the program at all right now, but I think we don't need to reinvent the wheel, and we probably just need to see what worked for us when we were able to bring the polio case burden down from 306 to just 7 or 8 in a few years only. One was, of course, a political consensus across political parties that despite our political differences, we would work together for the health of our children to ensure that they're protected from a debilitating disease like polio that can cripple for life. Two, I think the one team under one roof approach that we fostered and encouraged, where all partners, whether it was WHO, UNICEF, Gates Foundation, or Rotary, came together, sat together, strategized together, um, uh, with one goal, which was polio eradication, led by the government. So government accountability and a government-led program at the center is extremely important. Three, I think we relied a lot on scientific and evidence-based decision making. Whatever new intervention was made was assessed to see what impact it was having. I think that clearly needs to be done right now. And we need to have a national emergency action plan that can respond to these recent upcoming challenges that the program faces today. And finally, I think both government and partners need to dedicate their best technical staff to the program. I remember when I was leading the program, you had uh, all our partners and the government staff the program with the best of the best. And that is what led to the kind of policy and evidence and scientific decision making that was carried out, the new interventions that were introduced. And I think I would advise the current team at the helm of affairs to look into the past and learn from what we've done best, not even learn from other countries, but see what we have done. It certainly was challenging then, but I do think as far as your security situation is concerned, law and order is concerned, it doesn't even come close to the challenges the program faced back in 2013, 14, and 15. There is, across political parties, there's consensus that's already built, it is in place, and you just need to, on the technical side, have the best people analyze the program and look at the interventions they're doing. If this making sense, you continue. Otherwise, you look at other ways to deal with issues that you're facing on the ground and build credibility, transparency, so that if there are any issues on the programmatic side, operational side of refusals of fake finger marking, etc., or community resistance, they can be handled more openly and more transparently.
Ayesha, I'd like to highlight what our caretaker Prime Minister Nawaz Kakar Sahab said at a ceremony today to commemorate the World Polio Day. He talked about three points, and I'd like to ask your point of view on that. He said efforts need to be accelerated to make Pakistan a polio-free country. Then he said that the polio program is robust and vigilant. Then he also talked about, he appreciated the polio workers, the frontline workers who've been doing a lot for these polio programs to be a success over the years. How would you categorize these 3 points, and what's your take on this?
I must commend caretaker Prime Minister Nawaz Kakar for his support and recognition and appreciation for the progress the Pakistan polio program has made, as well as for our polio workers. I haven't seen anyone with kind of determination, commitment that Pakistan's brave, valiant polio workers, especially the female polio workers, have. They trek the length and breadth of our country, come rain, shine, they trek mountains, they wade through rivers, cold water, snow, to ensure they knock at every door in Pakistan to vaccinate our under 5 years old. Our polio workers have laid down their lives for this cause here. And I think if not for anyone else, for their sake, the polio program needs to trek the last mile here and cross the finish line. As far as surveillance is concerned, Pakistan has one of the largest surveillance footprint for polio eradication in the world. I do think that we need to strengthen it. We need to have a more sensitive surveillance system that can ensure timely virus detection, so that the mistransmissions that you saw in the recent past does not occur in the future. That is the only way that you can, instead of firefighting, you can very early see what is going wrong in the program, and surveillance through environmental samples is one way to do that. This is a virus that tells the truth. You cannot hide the virus. It will show up
True.
in the form of a paralyzed child here. And that is the kind of spirit and culture you need to develop across the program, down from the federal to the provincial, district to union council level, every road, to all polio workers and supervisors, that they need to be transparent, lay problems on the table, and solve them. And I think if we're able to do that, build that kind of transparency, a strong surveillance system, keep our polio workers motivated, and ensure that we can tackle refusals and cover the missed children better in the future, there's no way that we cannot interrupt transmission and move forward positively in this regard.
Thank you so very much, Ayesha Raza Farooq, Chairperson of the National Commission of Rights of Children, former focal person for the polio program, to the Prime Minister, to have joined us, to have talked to us, because you have experience, you have the dedication and passion that I can still see, and we hope to see more of you and more of that zeal in other colleagues of yours as well, as far as complete eradication of polio from Pakistan is concerned. Thank you very much, Ayesha, to have joined us. You heard what Ayesha Raza Farooq had to say, and of course polio is something that needs to be eradicated from Pakistan, and the government is doing its utmost in that regard. Let's come to our last two stories very quickly. Today is also the 76th anniversary, ladies and gentlemen, of the founding day of Azad Jammu and Kashmir. The state was established this very day in 1947. The day has been celebrated with traditional zeal, traditional zest and fervor all across the liberated territory of Azad Jammu and Kashmir, with the renewed commitment and to continue the struggle till the freedom of the illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir region as per the United Nations Security Council resolutions. Let's hope for that day and that it comes sooner than later. Last story concerns Pakistan conducting the training launch of the Gauri weapons system. Pakistan today also successfully conducted the training launch of Gauri weapons system that is aimed at testing the operational and technical readiness of the Army Strategic Forces Command. The launch was witnessed by Commander Army Strategic Force Command, senior officers from the Strategic Forces, scientists and engineers of strategic organization. Commander ASFC appreciated the standard of training and operational preparedness of the Army Strategic Force, which he said reflected by proficient handling of weapon system in the field and achievement of operational and technical objectives. Pakistan can be proud of its defense system, its defense capabilities, and this is just another feather in our cap. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end of today's news. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with new story segments that pertain to us, you and Pakistan. Till then, Allah Hafiz.